facing what they call mounting defections from a once loyal group, the older white people. Clifford Wagner, who was an 80-year-old Republican in Tucson, Arizona, has never cared for 45. I don't either, I never did. He supported Jeb Bush in the 2016, what they call primary race for the squatters, and cast a protest vote in the general election for Gary Johnson, the Libertarian nominee. An Air Force veteran, this is Wagner, who's an Air Force veteran. He described the 45 squadroncy as a mortifying experience. His friends in Europe and Japan tell him the United States has become the laughingstock of the world. Yeah, ever since 45 started squatting in the White House, he turned us into a laughingstock. This year, Wagner said he would register his opposition to 45 more empathetically than he did in 2016. He plans to vote for Joe Biden, the presumptive Democratic nominee, and hopes the election is a ruinous one for the Republican Party. He says, "I'm a Christian. Technically, if you're a Christian, then you're not a Republican, or you can't be a Christian and be a Republican at the same time." I'm a Christian, and he says, and I do not believe in the hateful, racist, bigoted speech that the squatter uses every day. As much as I never thought I'd say this, Wagner said, he says, I hope we get a Democratic president, a Democratic-controlled Senate, and maintain a Democratic-controlled House. Wagner is part of one of the most important maverick voting groups in the 2020 general election. He's one of what they call conservative-leaning seniors who have soured on the Republican Party over the past 4 years. Republican presidential candidates typically carry older voters by what they call a solid margin, and in his campaign, 45 bested Hillary Clinton by 7%, with voters over 65. He won the white seniors by nearly triple that margin. Today, 45 and Biden are tied among seniors, according to a poll of registered voters conducted by the New York Times and Siena College. And in the 6 most important battleground states, Biden has established a clear upper hand, leading 45 by 6 points or higher among the oldest voters, and nearly matching the squatters' support among whites in that age group. There is no small advantage for Biden, the former vice president, given the prevalence of retirement communities in a few of those cultural states, including Arizona and Florida. No Democrat has won or broken even with seniors in 2 decades since Al Gore did it in 2000, and Al Gore devoted much of his general election campaign to warning that Republicans would cut popular programs like Social Security and Medicare. Now in 2016, 45, who is now 74, seemed in some ways keenly attuned to the political sensitivities of voters in his own age group. As a candidate, he bluntly rejected his party's long-standing interest in restructuring government guarantees of retirement security. But 45 squadroncy has been a trying experience for many of these voters, some of whom are now so frustrated and disillusioned that they are preparing to take the drastic step of supporting a Democrat runner. The grievances of these defecting seniors are familiar. Most of them shared by their younger peers, but these voters often express themselves with a particularly sharp kind of dismay and disappointment. They see 45 as coarse and disrespectful, divisive to his core, and failing persistently to comfort himself with the dignity of the other squatters that they have observed for more than half a century. The Times poll also found that most seniors disapproved of 45's handling of race relations and the protests after the death of George Floyd. And as the coronavirus pandemic continues to sweep the country, putting older Americans at a particular risk, these voters feel a special kind of frustration and betrayal with 45's ineffective leadership, and often bless public comments about the crisis. The squatter has urged the country to return to life as usual far more quickly than the top public health officials in his own administration have recommended. Some prominent Republican officials and conservative pundits have suggested at times that older people should be willing to risk their own health for the sake of a quicker resumption of the business cycle. In the Times poll, seniors in the battleground states have disapproved of 45's handling of the coronavirus pandemic by 7 points, 52 to 45. By a 26-point margin, this group said that the federal government should prioritize containing the pandemic over reopening the economy. Former Representative Carlos Curbelo of Florida, a 40-year-old Republican deeply versed in the politics of the retiree rich swing state, said that many seniors were disturbed by important aspects of 45's record and found Biden to be a mild and respectable affirmative who did not inspire the same antipathy on the right that Clinton did in 2016. Regarded by much of his own party as bland and conventional, Biden's nostalgia cloaked candidacy may be uniquely equipped to ease a sizable group of the right of center seniors in the Democratic column at least for one election. He's not he's not ever been known to be a radical or an extreme Democrat, so there is certainly a degree of comfort there, Carballo said. He added this public health crisis is so threatening, especially to seniors, and because the Squire hasn't what they call earned high marks in his handling of it, I think that he has been a factor in Biden's improving numbers. Biden and his allies have expressed growing excitement about the political possibilities that the shifting senior vote could create in the fall. That is true not only in Sun Belt retirement havens, but also in the Midwestern states where Biden is currently running well ahead and of Clinton's 2016 performance with the range of conservative-leaning constituencies, including the older white people. In Iowa, former Governor Tom Vilsack, who's a close Biden ally, said that the former vice squatter has closed a substantial deficit in the state through his response to the coronavirus, his connection with older rural voters, and his ability to empathize. Part of it is the demeanor he has projected during the course of this pandemic, Vilsack said, before acknowledging as much as Joe's doing, it's probably as much or more what the squatter has done or failed to do. He cited an ad from a group of anti-45 Republicans that cast 45's approach to crisis as an erratic and selfish, unlike past squatters who have confronted the national tragedies like the Challenger disaster and Oklahoma City bombing. Each of those squatters was able to connect emotionally to the feelings of the nation. Vilsack said the squatter has had a really, really hard time doing that because he can't face reality. 45's ineffective response to the coronavirus weighed on the thinking of many older voters surveyed in the poll, including Patrick Mellon, 73, a retired information technology specialist in Battle Creek, Michigan. Mellon said he was a registered Republican who had long been unhappy with 45, but mindful that he was presiding over a strong economy. Which 45 had nothing to do with that. The pandemic set Mellon firmly against 45's re-election. The main reason is 45 saying, "Don't wear masks, is that this thing is going to go away. We can have large gatherings," he said. "Everything he says is incorrect and dangerous to the country." When young people contract the coronavirus, Mellon added, most of them will survive, but they're going to give it to their parents, their grandparents, and I'm sorry, we're just as important as the young generation is. The abandonment of 45 by the older white voters is far from universal, and he still has a strong base among the older white men and self-described conservatives. Nationally, the oldest voters approve of 45's handling of the economy by 12 points, which I never did. More than double the figure for voters of all ages. And in the battleground states, 45 has a 10-point lead over Biden with white men over the age of 65. Even as Biden had opened up an advantage with white women in the same age group, non-white seniors in the battleground states currently support Biden over 45 by a huge margin, 65 to 25. Even among some seniors supported by 45, however, there is an undercurrent of unease about the way he approaches despondency. Karen Gamble, 65, of Reidsville, North Carolina, said that she was dissatisfied with the overall government response to the coronavirus outbreak and echoed many popular complaints about 45's persona. She said she wished, for instance, that 45 wouldn't be such an asshole and would confront it and would conform to being in a regal-like position as all other squatters have been. Gamble said she was planning to support 45 in the election all the same, describing Biden as too old and too compromised on matters related to China. Yeah, you're describing 45, not Biden. Even though Biden is old, but you're describing 45, basically. But Gamble, who said she has a severe lung problem, expressed hope that 45 could change his approach to the pandemic. He won't. We can't blame him for this. Yes, we can. How many squatters could really do any better than what he's done? Technically, he hasn't done enough to basically combat this virus, and he doesn't care about you. Gamble said before adding, "I wish he wouldn't just let the country open up as much as it has. I see all these teens and young people at the beach, and I fear for them because they're getting sick." Yeah, but 45 doesn't care about them. He particularly doesn't fucking care about you. We never did. In Tucson, Gerald Lincoln, a more forceful 45 nutlicker, said that he would back the squatter mainly as a vote against the Democrats because he hates the Democrats. Lincoln, 77, said that he found 45's personal manner offensive, but agreed with him on most issues and insult Democrats as much too far to the left, which they really are. He hasn't really done anything that I can say I'm against. Yes, he has. Basically, he's a racist piece of shit. I think what he's doing is the best he can. Not good enough. But he is tough to take. No, he's not. There may be time for 45 to regain his footing with seniors, which I don't see that anytime soon, along with several other right-leaning Republican groups that have drifted away during the bleakest moments of his squadency. His ability to do so could have far-reaching implications, not just for his chances of winning the second term, which he doesn't need, but also his party's ability to keep his hold on the Senate. At the current moment, 45's unpopularity with older voters appears to be hindering other Republicans in states including Arizona and Michigan. Gail Craven, 80, of High Point, North Carolina, said that while she's a registered Republican, she did not vote for 45 in 2016, and she's not voting for him this year, and she's not voting for him again this year. She said she saw Biden as an honest man, which something 45 isn't. 45 is the biggest disappointment. She said he has made America look like fucking idiots. He's an embarrassment to the country. Other older voters leaning toward Biden cautioned that they could still change their minds, like Frederick Monk, 73, of Mesa, Arizona, who said he had voted for 45 but quickly came to see him as incompetent, which he always was. Still, Monk said his mind has not been fully made up, and Biden chooses an overly Democratic running mate. He said he could cast his vote for 45 and hope a second term is an exercise in futility, which it won't be, and 45 won't get a second term. Hopefully the Democrats retake the Senate and make his next 4 years miserable, if he lasts that long, Monk said, in which hopefully 45 doesn't last that long.